2 seasons ago, North Carolina knocked off a previously unbeaten Oklahoma team to announce the arrival of a top 10 defense. Did it just happen again?
This is David Noel, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Thursday, December 11th, 2025. Bill Belichick was hired 1 year ago today. Boy, things look different right now. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Schade, and you're joining me at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day. It's all part of the Locked On Network, now the #1 sports podcast network there is. Thanks for making us your first listener watch on this Thursday to get things going the right way. Special shout out to all you everydayers, all the members of the brand new Everydayers Club. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels Discord members and, of course, our insiders as well. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. Coming up on the show today, I've got a mailbag question that we're going to answer about North Carolina's defense. Then we're going to get to Caleb Wilson and Henri Veesaar's handling of double teams, plus some conversation about Veesaar's intensity. I love it. And today marks the 1-year anniversary of Carolina hiring Bill Belichick. Interesting. As a note, today, Thursday, my family and I are leaving on an airplane to go down to Disney World for a few days of just some needed getaway. You know, like even I need to do this sometimes. As much as I love being here locked in every day, I need to escape sometimes. But I'm not leaving you hanging. I have pre-recorded shows for tomorrow as well as Monday. And I will be back with you on Tuesday's show more in real time to preview ETSU. We will do a live postcast that night. But let me say that there will not be a live postcast Saturday after the USC Upstate game. So just be ready for that. Okay, let's dive in right on to it. Got a mailbag question in the Locked On Tar Heels Discord from our friend, the Nintendo Nerd. By the way, that link is in the show notes. Come join us in the Discord. It's great. He says, so a few years ago in the 1 seed year, which by the way was the 2023-24 season, that's the Harrison Ingram, Cormac Ryan team, we saw Carolina's defense really come together and become one of their primary strengths, and it happened during the Oklahoma game. After how long we held Kentucky without a made field goal, reminder, over 10 minutes last Tuesday, it leaves me wondering if there's a reality where the Kentucky game is this team's Oklahoma game where the defense becomes a key part of the identity. It would be interesting to revisit this after the Georgetown game and even in a few weeks. Thank you, Nintendo. This is a great conversation and a great kind of question for you. A couple things that are funny. Obviously, you can tell from that Nintendo actually sent that in before the Georgetown game. I just hadn't had a chance to get to it yet. And now we see not only what Carolina did to Kentucky, but also what they did to Georgetown. Let me first start by saying, and Nintendo would agree with me on this, I'm just looking into how he phrased it. He said, it leaves me wondering if the Kentucky game is the game where it becomes the defense part of the identity. I mean, frankly, we identified prior to the season that the defense had to be part of this team's identity because of their athleticism, because of the strong individual defenders on this team and all that. And again, I'm saying the Nintendo would agree with me. I'm just pushing back on the verbiage of it there. But you look at that Kentucky game. That game definitely is the start of it at least a national level where it's like, holy smokes, look at this Carolina team and how they're holding Kentucky down. That was the here we go moment. It's ramping up. It's going into it. That Oklahoma game 2 years ago was game 10 of that season. Actually, you know what? I should double check myself because I'm just saying that off of memory of it. Let me actually look back to make sure I'm not wrong. Oklahoma. Nope, that was game 11. I apologize. Funny enough, coming right after Carolina played Kentucky that season. And so North Carolina now is not quite to that. The USC Upstate game this Saturday is game 10. ETSU on Tuesday is game 11. So Carolina might even be getting to this threshold a little bit sooner than they did last season. But the Kentucky game, yeah, they held them down for 10 minutes without a field goal. And look, I know that we've seen how bad Kentucky is right now. They got throttled a couple days later by Gonzaga, who also held them without a field goal for a stretch of, that was about 8 minutes to start that game. So I hear that. But we've seen season-long capability of this for Carolina, not just the Kentucky game. And then you fast forward from Kentucky to the Georgetown game on Sunday, where Carolina held them to 22% shooting in the second half, 1 of 14 for 3, and Georgetown scored just 22 points in that half. Only 7 points Georgetown scored in the final quarter, if you will, of that game. That's it. 7 points over the final 10 minutes. That's a massive part of why Carolina ended up winning that thing by 20, because the defense was locked in. And look, it's the drum that we're all banging, but keep in mind, every bit of that, other than the first 2 games of the season, is done without Seth Trimble, your best individual defender, at least in the backcourt. Carolina has all the pieces they need to be able to be one of the elite defensive teams in the entire nation. And when you look at the numbers, and Josh Marlowe and I said just a little bit ago, I've already done some recording ahead of being gone. Josh Marlowe and I on Monday's show for next week, that's December 15th, talk more about the defense and look at some of the intangibles. But as we sit here right now, Carolina is top 20 in defensive efficiency at both KenPom and top 15 defensive efficiency at Torvik. So they're trending in that direction. They finished that season, the Cormac Ryan, Harrison Ingram season, 8th in defensive efficiency at KenPom. They're not there yet. They're not top 10, but man, are they doing it. They have not allowed an opponent, right? Like so many of the efficiency numbers in this day and age is all about the advanced metrics and stuff and tempo-free stats. But even if you look at game-long stuff, Carolina has not allowed a single opponent to break 75 points. A couple have scored 74, but nobody more than 74, including the last 2 games, Georgetown 61 and Kentucky 64. Really, really good stuff. Now, as we look ahead, obviously USC Upstate probably won't pose that much of a threat. ETSU next Tuesday, not going to be that much of a threat. The defense is really, really going to figure out a big test next Saturday against Ohio State. I just mentioned Seth Trimble and how critically important, how Carolina has been able to do this without him. But in the same breath, hear me say how critically important it is to Carolina's not just defense, but team success to have Seth back in the mix. Because multiple times since his injury, we've said, man, that guard went off, or that guard had a heyday. How different would that have been with Seth Trimble? Chief example, the lone game Carolina lost, Michigan State on Thanksgiving Day, Jeremy Fears went for 19 points. I'm telling you right now, that would not have happened to that level, right? It's those moments where Seth's absence have really reared their ugly head. And yet Carolina has done what they're doing. Now, going to have, I mentioned that Ohio State game. Here's why there's going to be a massive test of Carolina's defense sans Seth Trimble. Ohio State point guard Bruce Thornton is having some kind of offensive season right now. He's not that great of a defensive player, but boy, his offensive numbers are off the charts, quite literally. Like if you look at a chart of players' offensive and defensive efficiency, his offense is literally all alone by itself. Right now, as we record, he's averaging 21.7 points a game, shooting 62% from the field, 55% from 3. And it's not like he's just taking a couple. He's taking 5 3-point attempts a game and shooting 55%. 86% at the free throw line. He's also grabbing 5.2 rebounds, 4.4 assists to just 1.3 turnovers. So basically a 4-to-1 assist to turnover ratio and just over a steal a game. Bruce Thornton is having a season. Yes, Ohio State just lost to Illinois, but in that loss, he dropped 34 points on 13 of 17 shooting, 6 boards, 6 assists, 2 steals. Played the entire game. So very curious to see how that plays out, because with Seth Trimble, I feel confident, not that you completely shut him down, but that you severely limit Bruce Thornton. Who's going to be up to the task? Is Kyan Evans ready for it? Is Derek Dixon? Do you mess around with it a little bit and put Jarin Stevenson on him? I don't know what Carolina will do in that Ohio State game, but that alone, what Bruce Thornton is doing is enough to potentially derail Carolina's ability to win that basketball game. And going into ACC play 11-2 with the loss to Michigan State and Ohio State feels very different than 12-1 having just lost to Michigan State. Carolina is going to be tested in a massive way, again, against a guard that they got to deal with without Seth Trimble, who will put a lot of pressure on Carolina's defense. Are they up to the task? We're going to find out. But to Nintendo Nerds' question, yes, I believe that the Kentucky game and the Georgetown game, when you take that in tandem, is Carolina announcing its defensive presence. And now you got to keep holding on until Seth gets back. And the Ohio State game is going to tell us is another critical data point in that journey. Next, I want to go to talking more about Carolina's front court, which is getting so much publicity this season and for good reason. But one of the things that opposing we've been talking Carolina's defense. One of the things that opposing defenses have started doing is doubling those guys. How are they handling it? And what are they looking forward to? We'll talk about that in just a second. Right after I tell you about Aura Frames. The holidays, you guys are officially here, and that means gift hunting season is on. And if you want something meaningful, personal, and guaranteed to get a reaction, Aura Frames is the gift that delivers every time. It's not just something you wrap, it's the way to share memories. Because Aura isn't your average picture frame. You can preload it before you even give into it, and that ensures that when you're whoever, mom, dad, brother, sister, uncle, cousin, brother, when they plug it in, the memories are already there. No apps to figure out, no setup headaches, just instant smiles. And it allows you to upload pictures endlessly and also up to 30-second video clips, all from the Aura app. Really cool. You can add a personalized message that's in the frame so it's there for you and feels sentimental the second you open it. The packaging comes gifts ready. You don't have to there's no price tag on it. You don't have to wrap it. It's a huge win. It's a holiday gift that actually gets used, not forgotten in a drawer somewhere. So for a limited time, save on that perfect holiday gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames, which were just named #1 by Wirecutter. And you can do that by using promo code COLLEGE at checkout. That's auraframes.com, promo code COLLEGE. This deal is exclusive to listeners, and frames sell out fast, so order yours now to get it in time for the holidays. Support Locked on Tar Heels by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. Thanks for making Locked on Tar Heels your first listener watch of the day. Look, you already live your team every day. Now you can take it up to a level and go ad-free by joining our brand new Everydayers Club. Get Locked on Tar Heels with no interruption, plus a members-only Discord access for all of Locked On and more. All of that for just $5 a month or $50 a year. You can go to lockedontarheels.supercast.com to check it out, or you can even find that link in the show notes. All right. Because of how well Carolina's front court is playing, now being nationally recognized by all sorts of people, Caleb Wilson and Henri Veesaar both are starting to see a lot more defensive attention than they previously did. The word is out. It's no secret in what Chapel Hill has got in the front court, and that's great, but it also means these guys have to now start adjusting. For Caleb Wilson, we started to see those double teams start coming. The St. Bonaventure game was the first one, and that was 4 games ago. And now we've seen in each of those 4 games more attention paid to him that he's not been used to seeing, at least in the college ranks yet. I think he was fine against them initially, but didn't handle it as well as maybe he could have, forced it a little bit and was still trying to diagnose it and figure it out. But what I love about Caleb Wilson, man, this dude is an absolute competitor. And he says, basically, this is me saying what Caleb Wilson says, I'm not going to let that beat me. And I care too much, not just about my numbers, but about this team's success in winning to let that derail who we are and what we do. Now, let's know, we just talked about Carolina's defense. The offense has not been as efficient as the defense. It's not bad. It's just not elite right now. And so as Caleb and Henri have started to take on these double teams more, one of the things that has been reported, I think Inside Carolina has done some reporting on this. I think on 3, Carolina's site has done some of that as well. No, that is on 3. What I forget what Tar Heel Illustrated is called now, but Andrew Jones and his crew, right? Really doing it well there with the 247 site. And has just talked about Caleb like studying, talking to people, trying to figure out how to best handle these double teams. And he's working to handle them better. And man, I love it because it just continues to show his maturity as a basketball player, what he wants to do and who he wants to be. Because it's going to keep happening. Let's not pretend like these double teams are going away. And so for Caleb, what he's got to be able to figure out is, when is the right time for me to take on that double team and score over it? When is the right time for me to spin baseline and dribble away from it? When is the right time for me to recognize where the double team is coming from, get a pass to it, or just get a pass, find the open man and go? Because this Carolina team is a really willing and really capable passing team. And when they start doing that and moving the ball around the perimeter, it's going to get wide open, either looks from 3 or opportunities for drives and closeouts where the defense is in rotation, and then you got them beat. So I firmly believe it's going to wind up being double Caleb at your own risk, double Henri at your own risk, because these guys have size and passing capability. Now, part of this is, here's the issue. If they double and you kick it around and Carolina gets a wide open look from 3, they got to be able to knock it down. To this point in the season, Carolina has not really proven capable of knocking it down at a high level. Now, to be fair, also, the double teams and the handling of them is a pretty recent phenomenon for the Tar Heels. If they're getting more of those wide open looks, will they be able to knock those out? Like Derek Dixon was a big beneficiary of those in the Georgetown game on Sunday, for example. And so that's what we're looking for, is not only that, like, it's a team effort here. Not only do Caleb and Henri have to be ready for how to handle those double teams, the teammates also have to be ready. Do I continue to swing the ball? Do I close out? Do I attack a closeout? Do I take the 3? Do I keep the ball moving? Do I reset and repost to that guy in the paint? And, maybe now you can beat the double team. Lots of varieties of ways to attack it. But again, it's a two-way street. It's not just about Veesaar or Wilson's handling of the double teams. It's then the teammates knocking it down when they get the look. And part of that is, it's not just the double team, but it's the attention paid to Henri and Caleb, right? It's the fake digs down, like, I'm going to double, but I don't. Those guys both are going to draw so much gravity all season long that teams are going to have to either be okay with single coverage on those guys, knowing that they're going to get beat sometimes, especially because they can pass big to big as well, or doubling and maybe getting beat that way. It's like, pick your poison. Do you want to, if you're USC Upstate on Saturday, do you want to allow Caleb to beat you one-on-one, which he's going to do? Do you want Henri to beat you one-on-one, which he's going to do? Or do you want to try to double them and chance that Luka Bogavac can hit a 3 after the ball is rotated? Man, that's tough. That's a tough decision, and I don't know what I would do. Speaking of these bigs, here's something I've been meaning to say that I just want to get a word in on. One of the big storylines we've talked about that needs to happen this year is team leadership. I've referenced Cormac Ryan and Harrison Ingram a couple times on this show. Boy, the leadership and team camaraderie that they brought. Brady Manick back in Coach Davis's first season, the accountability he had for his teammates. We've talked at good length about how Seth Trimble is that guy for this team. But something I've begun to notice more and more, and the Georgetown game was where I noticed it a ton, is that Henri Veesaar has an edge. That dude is talking all the time. He's yelling, he's screaming at himself, whatever it is. And so we've talked about, for example, Caleb Wilson's energy and engagement and how, dynamic he is and how he draws people in. But don't miss what Henri's doing as well. He is being that dynamic piece that guys want to be around, encouraging teammates, yelling at them. And I think there's something to be said for that, man, of just talking, getting it out there and being that kind of dude. And so not only is this front court being really efficient and effective from a production standpoint, but they are both engaging teammates and opponents through their voice. And if you remember back to last year where Hubert Davis was begging his team to talk, that's a massive win, having guys that will do it and that will talk. Henri, Veesaar, keep it up. And both of you, when these doubles come, handle them well. I love to see that they're working on it. And I'm really curious to see how that continues to, like, the fact that they're having to deal with that now. This is something else I wanted to say about it, is going to pay like if you go to Virginia, I don't know if Ryan Odom's teams are going to double the way Tony Bennett's teams did, but if they do, boom, both of these guys are going to be ready for it. And so I love them having to learn to navigate it now in non-conference play. Okay, let's switch gears and move to football, because a year ago today, Wednesday, December 11th, 2024, Carolina announced the hiring of Bill Belichick, and things today are not as happy-go-lucky as they were at that moment in our lives. We'll talk about that throughout the show in just a second. Right after I tell you about FanDuel, y'all, NFL Sundays move fast. One big play, boom, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the live action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. Maybe it's a receiver that gets hot, defense tightens up, or there's a big turnover that creates that momentum change. FanDuel lets you jump in on those moments because live spreads and money and money lines update instantly when that happens. A player gets hot, boom, the player prop updates. You can bet the next touchdown score. You can bet how is this drive going to turn out. All sorts of stuff like that. It's so great. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, and every possibility. ACC regular season championship odds for basketball. Duke leads the way. It keeps growing, -125, then Louisville +240. Interestingly, Clemson has moved into third at +1,400. I don't know why they're favored above Carolina to win the ACC, but hey, we'll take some longer odds on the Tar Heels. Thank you very much. And then Virginia and Carolina tied for fourth at +1,600. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. I'm having a bit of some deja vu here behind the scenes. You guys are probably aware of this, but I usually record the show the night before it airs on today, Thursday. So I recorded this on Wednesday night. And it's funny, my family and I, as I said, are leaving today, Thursday, to go to Disney World. It's funny because literally a year ago, we did this exact same thing. Wednesday of like this week of December, we were packing and getting ready to go to Disney the next day, Thursday, December, I guess that would have been 12th. And I was anytime I'm going to be gone, I do a bunch of pre-recording. And there had been all the rumors about Bill Belichick and him coming to Carolina. And now we know why. There was all the like, is he not, like, what's going on? Well, finally they announced it. But the day they announced it was that Wednesday as I'm trying to pack and record and get ready to go. And it made my life absolutely bonkers. Because it's like, you know how it is the night before a big trip. You've got a bunch of packing. You're trying to not forget everything. And then boom, this grenade is dropped into my lap. Ugh, crazy. But let's remember the feelings of that night. Like, holy cow, Bill Belichick is the coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels. What on earth? And then that began the off-season long ramp up of expectations, of disciplined football, of being the 33rd NFL franchise, all of this kind of stuff. And as we sit here now, a year later, the world doesn't feel as blue and clear and bubbly and glorious. I think there's a lot more uncertainty about how this is going to play out. You know, if I could rewind the clock and listen to all of my things in the preseason and things I said about how the team's going to perform, and you know, they might not be the most talented team in year one, but I tell you what, it's a Bill Belichick coach team, so they're going to be disciplined. They're not going to hurt themselves. And now we sit here coming off of 2 games to end the season where Carolina got approximately 5,000 penalty yards coming off of 3,500 penalties. Like I just, at the beginning of the season, there was all the, it's early and they brought in all these guys, so you got to get it figured out. And there was the Clemson embarrassment, but then things started ramping up and they looked better. Yes, they lost to Cal. Yes, they lost to Virginia, but man, they were right there to win those games. And then they did actually win a couple games. And you're heading into those 3 games against the North Carolina schools. Like, okay, you win 2 of these. Maybe you make them, or not, maybe you win 2 of these. You're bowl eligible. Wow. And then it was like things went in the complete opposite direction and got worse and worse and worse from Wake to Duke to NC State. Utter humiliation in the NC State game. And now I don't know what to expect. I've said all season long, I'm taking a wait and see approach because of all, the staff getting in place late last year with the transfer portal. Remember, now the transfer portal is not going to open till January 2nd. Last year it was open at this time, and Bill Belichick's hired and playing catch up, and he doesn't even have a staff yet. So there is this, like, can you get it figured out this year? I've advocated for waiting to see and judging things on how the 2026 season goes. But I got to be honest, there's not really a ton that's giving me hope in how that's going to play out. We've started to see, obviously, as I said, the portal isn't opened yet. There's a bunch of guys who have already announced their intention to go portaling. Leading tackler Kamori House, which seems like writing was kind of on the wall there. Multiple receivers, Chris Culliver, Javarius Green, Jason Robinson, whose brother Skyler has announced he's still committed to the Tar Heels. That's great. Davion Goss, Bullet Goss is gone. Man, let's rewind that to the beginning of the season where we thought that's your bell cow guy. Omarion Hampton might be gone, but boy, Bullet Goss, when he filled in last year, I think nope. He just really didn't do it. And now he's out the door. Thankfully, it sounds like Juju's going to stick around. But man, Jake Johnson, Max Johnson, both have entered the transfer portal. Max Johnson going to have to see if he can get some eligibility, but those guys are gone. Miles McVay, who came over from Alabama, gone. Multiple other players, and some that, announced their intentions during the season. But you still have all these, it's not like suddenly the 70 new players that came in this year, like, oh, they're going to have magically figured it out for next year. Who's your quarterback going to be? Is Gio going to suddenly be somebody wildly different than he was this year? I mean, maybe with the year under his belt, he gets incrementally better, but I don't see him being suddenly a world beater. Do either of this year's freshmen, Torrey Newkirk or our guy, Bryce Baker, are they able to step in? Is there somebody out there we don't even know about? I mean, you got to get to the lines. It's going to start on lines, and you got to have an O-line and you got to have a D-line. Nothing else really matters if you can't figure that out. Will there be a big-time receiver to complement Jordan Shipp? There's the honeymoon season is worn off. Frankly, it probably did a long time ago. Not probably, it did wear off a long time ago. And now as we sit here a year removed from Bill Belichick's hiring, the world feels a lot different. What's going to happen? I don't know, but it's probably going to be another crazy roller coaster of an offseason. And hey, that's why we're all here, is to hang out and figure it out. But as for now, at least Tar Heel basketball is doing a lot better, both men and women. And so we can lean into that and love it this offseason. And that's why I recognize that's why the majority of us are all here, myself included. I love football, but I'm much more a basketball guy, like just hit cards on the table, right? But still, come on, man. Let's be great on the football field. Let's make things awesome. All right, guys, that's it for today's show for Thursday. We will be back tomorrow to preview the USC Upstate game. I've already recorded that one, and so it'll drop in on Friday. Excited for you to get to hear that. Thanks so much for being with us. Make sure you've subscribed to the show on video and audio. Make sure you've checked out the brand new Everydayers Club. Again, that link is in the show notes. If you haven't joined the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, we'd love to see you in there. That one's free and a great place to be a Tar Heel and hang out. It's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll talk again tomorrow, but until then, peace.